What we're talking about here is a whole era in Canadian politics, and it is not a pretty one. It can be summed up with a few names: Mike Duffy, Pamela Wallin, Mac Harb, Patrick Brazeau. But what has it all meant? How do you measure the damage? Well, for starters, how about 889 days? That's roughly 2.5 years from when Patrick Brazeau was first charged to those charges being dropped today. And it happened because of a remarkable chain reaction. First, those 31 charges against Mike Duffy, everything from fraud to bribery, and 31 findings of not guilty. After that, the 2 charges against now retired Senator Mac Harb were dropped. 0 charges were ever even laid against Pamela Wallin, though she still waited nearly 3 years for the investigation against her to be closed. And today, Patrick Brazeau saw his Senate-related charges dropped.
Quite frankly, it's a big waste of money. There were lots of resources to put on this case by the RCMP. There was a special investigation team investigating this. Quite frankly, this destroyed Mr. Brazeau for 3 years now.
So what sparked Brazeau's troubles with the Senate? Well, the answer: 133 kilometers. That is the distance between Parliament Hill and the home in Maniwaki, Quebec that Brazeau claimed as his primary residence. Now, because that's outside the National Capital Region, he claimed housing and travel expenses to go along with that, and he was ordered to repay money. But what about the cost of all of this? Well, one report said that the RCMP investigation into Duffy alone added up to $478,000. But what we don't know is precisely how much money was spent on all the police work, the legal costs, the political energy that went into all of these cases. The 3 senators were suspended back in 2013. Duffy and Wallin are now back on the job. Brazeau's lawyer says he wants to return too. But let's go back to that original question. How do you measure this damage? Well, at the core of all this, there is something that is incalculable. The way that a whole set of political scandals eroded the faith of so many Canadians in the Senate, but also perhaps in politicians as a whole. Now, there are efforts being made to reform the Senate, but all of these not guilty verdicts, completed investigations, dropped charges, they're not going to repair all of that damage. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.